Amar Mar, the master says. We had just one Amar Mar earlier, and we said that that's quoting a brisa that was mentioned before, but we haven't been able to discuss, and now we're doing the same. With actually the same brisa, just the next section of it. Amar Mar, the master says. Mar would be like M-R, as in Mr. or Master. Hakosses esa oirez, someone that chews rice. Oirez actually has the word rice in it. Rice. Reish Zayin. Someone that chews rice. Mevarech alav bari priyadama. The blessing on it is a bari priyadama. The brisa continues. Tachnu, let's say you ground the rice into a flour. Afu, you then baked it. Uvishlu, and then after you baked it, you took the bread and you cooked it. So the brisa says that af al pi, even though shahapruseis kayamais, that the pieces of bread are still whole, that means you can still recognize that this is bread, betchila, at first, which means the first bracha, mevarich alav, you bless on it, bayre minim mezainas. Okay, well, rice bread, according to this, is going to be bayre minim mezainas. And when you put it into a soup and you cook the bread in the soup, it's still going to retain that bracha, and it's going to be mezainas. We said afal pisha, even though the pieces are still whole. What that's referring to is that the brisa previously said that if the pieces are whole in wheat bread, the bracha would be hamaitzi. And in contrast to that, in rice bread, even when the pieces are whole, the bracha is only going to be mezainas. What that means is that real bread, when the pieces are whole, is hamaitzi, but rice bread, it's only mezainas, meaning that rice bread is always only mezainas. Ula b'saif, what is the after bracha on rice bread, whether it's in the soup or not, as long as the pieces are whole? Ula b'saif, at the end, bracha achas men shalish. You say one bracha, which is a quasi three, which three brachas means benching. The one bracha, which is this quasi three, is a al hamichya. Okay. So far, so good. That was the brisa that we learned before. The only problem is v'ha tanya. This is a compound word. V'ha tanya. It's missing an aleph when it puts it together. But this means and the brisa and but v'ha can mean this and but. But the brisa says, or the brisa taught, l'b'saif v'lei klum, that at the end you don't say anything. L'b'saif, at the end, after you eat it, you don't say any bracha. We explained that from the Mishnah would refer to a bracha, an after bracha is either benching or alamechya, me'en shalish, which is the alamechya. But the Bar Nefashis, it won't refer to that as anything. Well, that could go under the category of not saying an after bracha, even though you have to say Bar Nefashis, but this is still considered v'lei klum. It's not you don't say anything. So that's a question, because in one place we said that you make a mezainas and afterwards a me'en shalish, and we have another brisa that says that you don't say any after bracha. So Amar Rav Sheshes, like kasher, Rav Sheshes says it's not a question. Ha Rabban Gamliel v'ha Rabbanan. This is Rabban Gamliel and this is the Rabbanan. As we're going to see, as we get to the end of this brisa that we're going to quote now, that Rabban Gamliel is of the opinion that rice deserves a me'en shalish, an alamichya. The Rabbanan are of the opinion that it does not deserve this after bracha, and it would be a bar nefashis, or as we said before, no bracha. That's what it calls it. The Tanya, as it was taught in a brisa. Okay, the brisa is going to elaborate on another subject, which is if you have to bench on the 7 species that Israel is praised with. Usually, we're accustomed to thinking that you have to say an ala eitz. However, amongst the Tanoim, that wasn't so simple. So the brisa goes like this: Zeh haklal, this is the rule. Kol shehu mishivas aminim, anything which is from the 7 types, which means it's a grape, dates, figs, olives, pomegranates. Rabban Gamliel says, Shalish brachas. You have to say the 3 brachas. That means it requires a full benching. You eat a grape, you have to say the full benching. The Chachamim say, and this is what we're used to hearing, that if you eat anything from the 7 species, it's a bracha achas me'en shalish. You only have to say an ala mechia or a ala eitz, but it's a one bracha which is a quasi three brachas. Umaisa Rabban Gamliel v'azakanim. There was a story with Rabban Gamliel and the elders. Maisa means a story. Shahayim mesubim ba'aliyah b'yaricha, that they were having a party. They were eating, reclining, mesubin, haseba. They were reclining or having a party in a attic in the city of Yerichai, and we know that Yerichai, even in Tanakh, it says that it's a Ir Hatmarim, a city of dates. V'hiviu lefneim, and they brought before them kaisavais, which are dates. So they're eating dates at this party. V'achlu, and they ate them. V'nasan Rabban Gamliel reshus, Rabban Gamliel gave permission for Rabbi Akiva levarich, for Rabbi Akiva to lead the benching. Leading the benching, Rabbi Akiva was supposed to say, Rabbi Samer Velen benchen, but Rabbi Akiva didn't speak Yiddish, I assume. He probably would have said Havlon v'navrich, which is the Aramaic version of that. And Kafatz, he jumped ahead, Rabbi Akiva, Ubeirach Rabbi Akiva blessed, Bracha achas men shalish. Instead of saying that introduction to the long benching, he just quickly started to say, Ala eitz val priya eitz, which is that one bracha. Now, that was exactly what Rabban Gamliel did not tell him to do. He was telling him that you should lead the benching for all of us. Remember, Rabban Gamliel's opinion is that you have to say a complete benching if you eat dates. We're talking about figs as well, but kasavis are dates. Okay. So Amalei Rabban Gamliel says to him, Akiva. Let's put an exclamation mark there. Rabban Gamliel is more significant at this time than Rabbi Akiva, and he can call him by his first name without the title rabbi before him. Ad Masai, until when? Atamachnis reishcha, do you enter your head into beina machlokes, between arguments? In other words, the fact that you weren't following my opinion is you're mixing into arguments. It would seem that if he would follow his opinion, he would also be mixing into arguments, and the commentaries discuss that. But meanwhile, Rabban Gamliel is telling Rabbi Akiva that why are you doing this? Amar lei, Rabbi Akiva tells him back, Rabbeinu, our teacher, afal pisha ato omer kein, even though you say so, which means that I'm supposed to bench, v'chaverecha omrim kein, and your friends say so, or rather say that, the opposite. Limadatanu Rabbeinu, our teacher, you have taught us that yachid v'rabim, when you have a individual and a majority, halacha karabim, the halacha is like the majority. So I was following the majority, which are your friends that don't agree with you, and therefore I was saying a bracha achas ben shalosh. We are those friends. That's the chachamim aimrim bracha achas ben shalosh. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Mishmai, Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Rabban Gamliel. This is very interesting. It's in the name of Rabban Gamliel. The Gemara needs to be that, even though it's interesting, Rabbi Yehuda was really a student of Rabbi Akiva. But whatever the case is, Rabbi Yehuda has this statement from Rabban Gamliel, and he's going to say over Rabban Gamliel's opinion slightly differently than the way that we quoted it. And because of that difference, we're going to have Rabban Gamliel's opinion about rice, and that's the big discussion here. That's why we needed to discuss this. Okay. This is what he says. Kol shu mishivas aminim. This is the words of Rabban Gamliel as quoted by Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Loi. It's not Rabbi. That's never how it's quoted. Okay. Anything which is from the 7 species. Now we'll go to the top of page Lamed Zayin Amid Beis. Veloi min dagan, or rather I should say velav min dagan. Anything which is from the 7 grains and is not a type of grain. Let me say veloi min dagan hu, and it's not a type of grain, which means that it's from the other of the 7 species. Basically, it's not bread, because bread is not going to be a machlokes. We're trying to set this up for 2 different opinions here. So it's one of the 7 species, but it's not the grain. Oy min dagan, or if it is a grain, v'lo yaso pas, but it was not turned into bread. So let's go like that. And now they're going to have 2 opinions. Rabban Gamliel omer shalish brachas. Rabban Gamliel says you have to say the 3 brachas, which means benching. V'chachamim oimrim. That's an abbreviation. V'chachamim, the aleph is for oimrim. Bracha achas. The chachamim say that you only say one bracha. So in other words, any of the 7 species that's not a bread, or if that's not a grain, or if it is one of the grains, but it wasn't made into bread, it was made into cake, cookies, crackers, whatever. So then you only say an ala michya according to the Chachamim, and you would say a complete benching according to Rabbi Gamliel. So far we didn't discuss what we had before, which was rice. But then, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Gamliel goes on, and he says, Kol she'einoi, anything which is not, loy mishivas aminim, not from the 7 types. Ignore the double negative. In Hebrew, double negatives are acceptable. Ve'ein lanu, like kayin bavidasai, etc. It's, kol she'eina, anything which is not from the 7 grains. It doesn't mean that it becomes positive. It means anything that's not from the 7 grains. V'loy min dagan, and it's also not a grain. The 7 species, and it's also not a grain. Kagayin pasayers v'daichen, for example. If it's not wheat or barley, it's bread of rice and millet. What would the bracha be on that? Well, on this, we should do it symmetrically. We should have that. Ram Gamliel Leimer, bracha achas men shalish. On this, Ram Gamliel says that you say an alamichya. This is the first time we have an alamichya, by the way, according to Rabbi Gamliel. On everything else, he had a full benching. So here, Rabbi Gamliel says on rice bread, you say an alamichya. V'chachamim ma'imrim v'lei klum. And the chachamim say that you do not say any after bracha. If I can go back to that page, I don't know if I can. So I would like to show you that the 2 brises, I don't think I can remove that page. The 2 brises are, let me see, that we said, which are on chewing rice that was turned into bread. We said over here, let's make it highlighted. Let's see. Let's change the color. So we're going to have one brisa that says that I say bracha achas men shalish. I have another brisa that says that I don't say anything. The answer is that one is the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel, that's this one, and the Rabbanan say that I don't say anything, and that we saw on the next page.